During the height of the Abbasid Caliphate, the city of Baghdad shimmered with golden domes, bustling markets, and scholars who preserved the knowledge of the ancient world. Yet, in the shadows of this grandeur, a darker story unfolded, one rarely told in the chronicles of the empire. Far to the north, in a secluded monastery perched on the cliffs above the Tigris River, a small community of Christian nuns lived quietly. They were women devoted entirely to prayer, charity, and the sacred texts that had survived generations of turmoil. Among them was Sister Miriam, a woman renowned for her courage and unyielding faith. The Abbasid governors had grown wary of any communities that existed outside their control. The nuns, isolated and self-sufficient, were seen as a threat. Their monastery assembled devotion that rivaled the authority of the caliph. One night, under the veil of darkness, soldiers arrived. They demanded that the nuns surrender their manuscripts and abandon their convent to the state. Sister Miriam refused, her voice unwavering. "This house belongs to God, not men." The soldiers did not relent. They destroyed the doors of the chapel, scattering sacred relics across the stone floors. Candles were extinguished, ancient icons shattered, and the air filled with the acrid smoke of burning parchments. Some nuns were seized and forced to convert, while others were taken as servants, their fate whispered only in the fearful tremors of the wind. Those who resisted were punished in ways that history barely records. Hidden chronicles later uncovered by travelers describe imprisonment in underground cells, chains that cut into flesh, and the psychological torment of being stripped of identity and devotion. Yet, even in captivity, the nuns refused to abandon their faith. They carved prayers into the walls with broken shards of pottery, whispering hymns that no conqueror could silence. Rumors spread across villages along the Tigris. Merchants and travelers spoke of a glowing light emanating from the monastery ruins at night, and of faint voices singing through the darkness. It was as though the prayers themselves had infused the stones with a sacred resonance, preserving the spirits of those women long after the caliph's soldiers had left. Centuries later, scholars examining the ruins found fragments of manuscripts hidden beneath floorboards, inscriptions etched into walls, and relics that survived fires and pillaging. One fragment bore a message from Sister Miriam herself. "They may take our walls, our names, and our bodies, but they will never take our faith. It lives beyond them, eternal." Even today, when pilgrims visit the ruins along the Tigris, they speak of a strange presence, a sense of calm courage, an invisible choir of voices carrying a hymn that no one alive can fully hear. Archaeologists note that certain stones retain an unusual warmth, inexplicable by natural means, and local legends claim that the nuns' prayers still protect the land, whispering across centuries. The Abbasid soldiers' cruelty could not erase the devotion of the nuns. Their story, nearly lost to time, endures as a testament to courage, resilience, and the indomitable power of faith. No empire, no conquest, and no ruler, however mighty, could fully destroy what those women carried in their hearts. And so, from the burned floors of a monastery to the winds of the Tigris, the legacy of Sister Miriam and her sisters lives on, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, light and faith endure, eternal and unbroken. As centuries passed, the ruins of the monastery became a place of whispered legend. Travelers spoke of strange phenomena, a faint glow emanating from the stones at night, shadows moving where no one stood, and the faint sound of hymns drifting along the river. Scholars dismissed it as folklore, but the locals knew better. They believed the spirits of the nuns lingered, guardians of faith that no conqueror could extinguish. In the 18th century, a Venetian merchant traveling along the Tigris stumbled upon a sealed chamber beneath the ruins. Inside, he discovered fragments of parchment rosaries and carved inscriptions in Greek and Syriac. One of the parchments was a letter from Sister Miriam herself, describing the horrors the nuns endured, the beatings, the starvation, the forced conversions. Yet she wrote of hope, prayer, and the unbreakable spirit of her sisters. "We are but vessels of God. They can bind our hands, burn our books, and silence our voices, but our faith is not theirs to touch." This discovery spread across Europe, fueling both fear and fascination. Artists painted the scenes described in the letters. Nuns praying defiantly before armed soldiers, candles flickering amidst smoke and shattered icons. The story became a symbol of resistance and unwavering devotion, inspiring generations to come. By the 19th century, scholars returning to the site noted that despite centuries of decay, some of the monastery's structures seemed almost untouched by time. Stones inscribed with prayers remained clear, and certain areas seemed to exude a strange warmth. Many claimed it was a lingering presence of the nuns, their prayers having imbued the walls with protective aura. Even in modern times, visitors report feeling a profound sense of calm and reverence upon entering the ruins. Some hear faint chants or see fleeting shadows resembling the nuns' habits moving silently across the floors. Researchers with instruments to measure energy fields detect anomalies in the very stones, further fueling the legend that the monastery was more than a building. It was a sanctuary of eternal devotion, preserved not by human hands, but by the faith and courage of those who once called it home. The story of Sister Miriam and her sister stands as a testament across time, that even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, faith, resilience, and courage can outlast empires, endure beyond death, and echo through history as an unbroken legacy of light. As the 20th century dawned, the ruins of the monastery drew the attention of historians, archaeologists, and spiritual seekers alike. Expeditions equipped with modern tools, ground-penetrating radar, detailed mapping, and archival research uncovered hidden chambers that had remained untouched for centuries. Beneath layers of rubble, the remains of manuscripts, carved inscriptions, and delicate relics testified to the lives and courage of the nuns. Among the most remarkable discoveries was a sealed underground library. Within it, manuscripts written in Greek, Syriac, and early Arabic described not only the daily life of the nuns, but also the relentless torment they had faced, forced conversions, brutal punishments, and the psychological terror of confinement. Yet the writings also detailed their ingenious ways of preserving faith, secret codes, hidden prayers, and symbols etched into walls that only the devout could read. By night, local villagers reported seeing faint lights flickering from the ruins, moving in patterns too deliberate to be random. Travelers and pilgrims spoke of hearing a chorus of soft chants, carrying across the valley, though no one could be seen. Scientists attempting to record the phenomena with audio and thermal equipment found instruments behaving unpredictably. Lights fluctuated, devices turned off unexpectedly, and thermal readings spiked without any identifiable cause. In 2025, a team of documentary filmmakers set up cameras to capture these occurrences. As darkness fell, shadows appeared gliding across broken floors, and faint figures in tattered habits seemed to repeat gestures of prayer. Even skeptics in the crew admitted they felt an indescribable presence, a mixture of awe, reverence, and something profoundly protective. Today, the site serves as a pilgrimage for both the faithful and the curious. Candles are lit in remembrance, offerings left, and prayers whispered. The legacy of Sister Miriam and her sisters endures not just in history books, but in the very stones of the monastery. Their courage, their resistance, and their devotion remain alive, transcending time, empire, and even death. The Abbasid soldiers' cruelty may have sought to erase them, but what they left behind was indelible, a testament to faith, resilience, and eternal light of devotion that no force in the world can extinguish. And as the wind rustles through the ruins, carrying a faint echo of ancient hymns, one truth becomes unmistakable. The nun spirits, their prayers, and their courage remain unbroken, a timeless legacy that continues to inspire anyone who dares to witness it. As the years progressed, the legend of the nuns of the Abbasid monastery spread far beyond the local villages. Travelers from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East began visiting the site, drawn by whispers of miracles and unexplained phenomena. Some came seeking spiritual connection, others scientific or historical understanding. Yet all were touched by the same unshakable presence that seemed to linger among the stones. In the 2030s, advanced scanning technology revealed an intricate network of hidden tunnels and chambers beneath the ruins. These subterranean spaces contained relics, prayer stones, and remnants of ancient manuscripts untouched by time or fire. Among the findings was a small, intricately carved box containing personal items of nuns, a rosary, a silver chalice, and fragments of parchment with faint hymns written in languages long thought lost. Researchers noted that certain sections of the ruins emitted unusual electromagnetic readings. Instruments would spike without any apparent cause, and thermal cameras captured fleeting shapes moving, as if guided by invisible hands. Witnesses reported feeling a presence, a warmth, a calm, a quiet authority that seemed to emanate from the stones themselves. Pilgrims who visited the monastery often described the sensation of being watched over, not with judgment, but with protection. Some claimed to see fleeting figures in worn habits, gliding silently across the ruins, performing gestures of prayer, disappearing before anyone could approach. Local legends grew richer. Children were told that the nuns' prayers had woven themselves into the very walls, creating an invisible shield that preserved the site through centuries of conquest, neglect, and natural decay. Even severe storms seemed to spare the monastery ruins, leaving the stones and inscriptions largely intact. Scholars began to consider the possibility that devotion, faith, and collective prayer could leave a tangible imprint, something beyond physical or scientific explanation. In modern times, the monastery became both a historical landmark and a spiritual pilgrimage. People from around the world traveled to light candles, leave offerings, or simply sit in silence amidst the ruins. Occasionally, visitors reported hearing whispers of hymns in languages they could not identify, or feeling a sudden, inexplicable breeze, carrying the faint scent of incense long extinguished. The story of Sister Miriam and her fellow nuns stands as a testament that cruelty cannot erase faith. The Abbasid soldiers may have destroyed manuscripts, burned icons, and imprisoned the women, but they could not destroy the essence of their devotion. Their prayers, carved into walls and preserved in hidden chambers, continue to echo through the centuries, a living reminder that courage and faith can endure far longer than empires, rulers, or time itself. And so, the nuns' legacy remains eternal, unbroken, invisible yet undeniable, a light that continues to shine in the shadow of history, guiding all who seek strength, hope, and the enduring power of belief. As the 21st century progressed, technology allowed even more immersive exploration of the monastery. Drones and 3D scanning revealed previously unknown chambers, hidden passages, and intact frescoes covered in centuries of dust and soot. Archaeologists marveled at the precision of the nuns' carvings and the intricate codes embedded in the walls. Secret prayers and warnings meant only for those who could read them. Documentaries and virtual reality experiences brought the story to a global audience. Viewers could walk through the ruins, see the faint glow of candlelight reflected on broken stone, and hear the soft echo of hymns as if the nuns themselves were guiding them. Pilgrims reported inexplicable sensations, a sudden chill accompanied by peace, shadows moving in patterns that seemed intentional, and a feeling of being watched over by unseen hands. Even skeptics could not deny the phenomenon. Electrical equipment often malfunctioned in certain rooms. Thermographic cameras captured heat signatures where no human presence existed, and sensitive audio devices occasionally recorded faint, rhythmic chants that vanished upon replay. Locals insisted it was the nuns, their devotion so profound that it had become woven into the very fabric of the monastery. In schools of history and theology, Sister Miriam and her sisters became emblematic of resilience and spiritual courage. Their story is now taught alongside the rise and fall of empires, emphasizing that faith and moral strength can outlast armies, rulers, and centuries of oppression. Today, the monastery stands as both a historical site and a spiritual beacon. Travelers, scholars, and pilgrims continue to visit, leaving candles, rosaries, and small tokens of devotion. The wind through the ruins carries faint echoes of ancient prayers. And though the Abbasid soldiers' cruelty remains a dark chapter in history, it is overshadowed by a more enduring truth. The nuns' faith, courage, and legacy endure, eternal and unbroken, a silent testament to the power of devotion across time. As decades turned into centuries, the monastery became more than a historical relic. It became a symbol of endurance. Scholars, pilgrims, and curious travelers spoke of the site as if it possessed a living spirit. Even in harsh weather, the ruins remained remarkably intact, as if protected by an unseen force. The carvings of prayers and hymns on the walls, the hidden manuscripts, and the delicate relics all seemed to resonate with energy beyond explanation. In 2050, a team of international historians, archaeologists, and spiritual researchers returned to the monastery for a comprehensive study. Using advanced sensors and scanning technologies, they discovered new subterranean chambers, untouched manuscripts, and sacred artifacts that had survived fires, looting, and centuries of decay. Among these was a small, intricately carved wooden box containing remnants of Sister Miriam's personal items, a silver chalice, a rosary, and a fragment of parchment inscribed with a hymn. That night, as cameras and sensors recorded, the researchers witnessed phenomena that defied scientific explanation. Lights flickered across empty halls. Thermal cameras captured moving shapes with no human presence, and faint chanting could be heard on audio equipment, soft yet unmistakable. The experience left even the most skeptical members of the team awestruck. Locals continued to pass down the story of the nuns, insisting that their prayers had infused the monastery with an enduring, protective spirit. Pilgrims lighting candles in the ruins claimed to feel a comforting presence, as if the nuns themselves were watching over them, guiding their devotion. The story of courage and faith, nearly erased by the Abbasid soldiers, had survived stronger than ever. Now, the monastery stands not only as a historical site, but as a living monument to the unyielding power of faith. Sister Miriam and her sisters, once imprisoned and tormented, have become eternal guardians, their courage, prayers, and spirit transcending the cruelty of men, echoing through time, and inspiring anyone who visits to remember that true devotion cannot be destroyed. Their legacy remains, unbroken, eternal, and a light in the shadow of history, reminding the world that faith and courage endure far beyond the reach of any empire. As the 21st century continued to unfold, the story of the nuns of the Abbasid monastery began to gain global recognition. Books, documentaries, and online platforms spread the tale far beyond the local villages along the Tigris. People from Europe, Asia, and the Americas traveled to the ruins, drawn by the mixture of history, legend, and the inexplicable phenomena that surrounded the site. The monastery had transformed from a hidden sanctuary into a living testament to human endurance and spiritual power. In 2065, a multinational team of researchers, combining archaeology, history, and the study of the paranormal, descended upon the site with equipment more advanced than anything previously used. Ground-penetrating radar revealed a network of hidden passageways beneath the ruins, leading to chambers where manuscripts, rosaries, and carvings had lain undisturbed for over a millennium. Among the findings was an elaborately carved chest containing Sister Miriam's most personal belongings, a silver crucifix, a tattered prayer book, and parchment fragments inscribed with hymns, prayers, and secret messages intended to preserve the faith of future generations. One night, the team decided to remain in the ruins after dark. As the wind howled along the Tigris, lights flickered across the walls, tracing shapes that resembled women in habits moving silently. Microphones captured faint chants, rhythmic and melodic, though no one was present. Thermal cameras showed fleeting heat signatures that moved with purpose, weaving through the hallways as if following a ritual no living human had performed. The lead historian, a woman named Dr. Alara Sayegh, whispered in awe, This is beyond human comprehension. They are here. They never left." Locals continue to tell tales of miraculous occurrences. During storms that should have leveled the ruins, the monastery remained intact, while nearby buildings crumbled. Pilgrims reported sudden gusts of wind, carrying the scent of incense and candle smoke. Some claimed that when they knelt to pray, invisible hands seemed to guide their movements, leading them to specific stones, inscriptions, or relics. Even the most skeptical scientists admitted that the energy of the site could not be explained by conventional physics or geology. The manuscripts uncovered told of unspeakable horrors inflicted upon the nuns: imprisonment in dark cells, starvation, psychological torment, and the relentless pressure to abandon their faith. Yet they also chronicled acts of courage and ingenuity. Secret carvings in walls, coded messages in prayer books, and songs whispered in chains that would later guide survivors and preserve the monastery's legacy. One passage from Sister Miriam read, "Though they break our walls and our bodies, the light within us cannot be extinguished. Each prayer is a seed, each hymn a shield. They may take our lives, but our devotion lives forever." Over the years, the monastery became a convergence of past and present. Historians marveled at the architectural techniques, the preservation of manuscripts, and the artistry of carvings. Spiritual seekers felt the palpable presence of the nuns' faith. Tourists reported fleeting glimpses of ghostly figures, lights dancing in impossible patterns, and whispers of hymns in languages long forgotten. Children were told that the nuns' prayers had transformed the ruins into a living sanctuary, protecting the site from decay and human greed. By the late 21st century, the monastery was recognized as a unique intersection of history, spirituality, and mystery. Virtual reality programs recreated the ruins, allowing people worldwide to experience the flickering candlelight, hear the whispers of hymns, and glimpse the faint silhouettes of nuns moving silently through ancient halls. Yet those who visited in person repeatedly claimed that no technology could replicate the sense of presence, the weightless, comforting, yet awe-inspiring sensation of being watched over by spirits of unparalleled devotion. The legacy of Sister Miriam and her sisters transcended the temporal cruelty of the Abbasid soldiers. Though their bodies have been tormented, their prayers have left a permanent mark, a resonance in the stones, the air, and the hearts of all who came seeking courage. The story that had begun in fear and oppression became one of triumph, a reminder that true faith is impervious to conquest, cruelty, and time. Even today, as the sun sets over the ruins along the Tigris, visitors report a subtle, almost imperceptible glow from the stones. The air carries a whisper of ancient hymns, a reminder that the nuns' prayers endure, a shield of devotion that has lasted for more than a millennium. The Abbasid soldiers' cruelty has been long forgotten, but the courage, faith, and legacy of the nuns remain eternal. In every carved stone, every hidden manuscript, every flickering candle left by a pilgrim, their story continues, an unbroken testament to the power of devotion, resilience, and the human spirit. Empires crumble, centuries pass, and the world changes, but the light of Sister Miriam and her sisters shines on, eternal, unyielding, and unforgotten. As the centuries rolled on, the monastery evolved into a place where history, legend, and faith converge in ways impossible to separate. Researchers in the 22nd century noted that the ruins were remarkably resistant to both natural decay and human interference. Earthquakes shifted nearby structures, floods swept across the Tigris plain, yet the monastery stones remained steadfast, as though anchored by something beyond the physical. The hidden chambers discovered beneath the main halls revealed even more about the nuns' ingenuity. Some rooms contained intricate mosaics, layered in such a way that light reflected patterns resembling flowing hymns. Others held manuscripts that detailed strategies for preserving sacred texts in the most extreme conditions, water-damaged scrolls wrapped in oils and preserved in ceramic vessels, codices hidden within hollow beams, messages carved in layers of plaster that only the devout could decode. Pilgrims continued to recount inexplicable experiences. Some described seeing a procession of spectral figures moving silently along the ruins, carrying candles that flickered without flame. Others spoke of sudden chills accompanied by a comforting warmth that seemed to radiate from the very walls. Even sophisticated sensors occasionally detected heat or electromagnetic anomalies where no natural explanation existed. Scholars studying the site concluded that the monastery was more than a historical artifact. It had become a living monument to devotion. Sister Miriam's writings and carvings were not merely records. They functioned as conduits of spiritual energy, channeling the prayers of countless visitors who came seeking solace, guidance, or courage. Each act of faith by a pilgrim, whether lighting a candle or whispering a prayer, seemed to strengthen this invisible presence. By the mid-23rd century, advanced holographic and AI reconstructions allowed people around the world to experience the monastery remotely. Yet even the most sophisticated simulations could not replicate the profound sense of presence reported by those standing within the ruins. Witnesses consistently described a feeling of being observed, not with judgment, but with the protective attention of the nuns' enduring spirits. In this era, the story of Sister Miriam and her fellow nuns had taken on almost mythical proportions. Their courage, steadfastness, and faith became symbols not only of religious devotion, but of human resilience. They were studied not just as historical figures, but as archetypes of resistance, perseverance, and spiritual influence across generations. And so, the legacy endures. The Abbasid soldiers' attempt to crush their faith failed utterly. Though centuries of time, conquest, and decay passed, the prayers, courage, and devotion of the nuns continue to echo through the monastery. Their story is told and retold, inspiring scholars, pilgrims, and anyone who seeks a reminder that true faith, once kindled, can never be extinguished. The ruins, bathed in sunlight or shadow, stand as a timeless witness. Sister Miriam and her sisters endured cruelty, survived oppression, and left a legacy that continues to resonate, eternal, unbroken, and luminous across the ages.